Mem Amid Beis, on the top of the Amid, really it's explaining a part of the Mishnah. So the part of the Mishnah that explains is the words are on Mem Amid Aleph, the last three words, Ubemigdash Bracha Achas, that the Birchas Kainim, that like I explained last time, is Bracha Meshuleshes B'Torah. Why Meshuleshes B'Torah? Because in the Torah it's three separate brachas, but not all over do they say there's three separate brachas, and the Beis Midrash said that's one. So now the Gemara asks the question, the Kol Kach Lama. Why did they make it all one bracha? Why don't they break it up? So the Gemara says, we break it into three because at the end of each part we say Amen. But in the Beis Midrash they didn't say Amen at the end of a bracha. So
why?
Why? Because it's like a hefsek, like it's a take away. It's like a valve a little bit. Them is it because they there's a Taisus, there's a kasha over here. We're soon going to see that in the Beis Midrash they said Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od, and but when did they say Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od? Taisus answered they had time to say Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od. They have no time to say Amen. It doesn't. So Taisus said that the Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od they said in the middle when they said the Shem, like we say in the Avodah by Yom Kippur. Then they said Baruch Shem. So they continued what they were saying. So it wasn't stopped. The Mashal says an interesting thing. The Mashal says, what's the inyan of Amen? He said the inyan of, I glanced at it, I didn't go through it right now. But he said the inyan of Amen is up to 91. 91 is the gematria for Yudke, Vovke, and Adni. So it's like what the Alter talks in Tanya about Shiur Havaya Ba'adni and Adni Ba'avaya, connecting the two of them. So by us that we don't say the Havaya, so we want to be connected. But by them they say the Yikah, they say the Yudke, Vovke, so they don't. Tan Rabbanan. Minayin shein omen b'migdash. In other words, it sounds like a question that we don't. I mean, because the truth is we say something else. Mm-hmm. We say in the migdash they say Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od. So where do we get it? That you don't say Amen, but instead you say Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od. So he says Shenam a certain pasuk, Kumu ubochu es Hashem Elokeichem min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. So what's the raya from this here? So, from this pasuk you learn that in the Migdash, when Rashi says, when it came to the brachas, Hashem Mogen Avram, we just say, Baruch Atah Hashem Mogen Avram. In the Beis HaMikdash, they would say, Baruch Hashem Okei Yisrael Menayim V'Adayim Mogen Avram. But if you look later, if you look on the side, you have over here, so they bring the whole pasuk.
We don't have it now.
Okay, so the whole pasuk after that it says, "Vivochu Shem Kvodecha." So Vivochu Shem means that they should bench. They're telling the people, this is what you should say, and Vivochu Shem Kvodecha, and they will bench. They will say, "Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od." Yezak the Gemara, Uminayin. How do we know shall call bracha tehila? In other words, when they davened in the Beis HaMikdash, let's say Shmon Esrei. Shmon Esrei is 18, 19 brachas. So the question is, do you wait till they finish the whole Shmon Esrei and then answer Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od, or in each bracha separately? So that's the question. And for the Gemara, in fact, the Gemara, how do we know it? So Shenam Hashem Pasuk, Bivoch Hashem Kvodecha, that's the Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od. Umroimon al kol bracha utehila. Al kol means each. Al kol bracha utehila. Al kol bracha ten utehila. Give him a praise, and the praise of Baruch Shem Kol Mechus V'Od. Now we go to the next Mishnah. We learned in the Mishnah, previous Mishnah, about the Birchas Kainim, Birchas HaKayin Gadol, about the bracha that the Kayin Gadol. What is these brachas that the Kayin Gadol recites? So now the Mishnah say, Birchas Kayin Gadol Kesad. What happened was that after the there was a whole avodah that the Kohen Gadol did on Yom Kippur, going into the Kodesh HaKadosh, going out of the Kodesh HaKadosh, and then there was the sending away of the Azazel, the Seir Azazel, and the Kolben, and the one that he has the Shech. After that, the Kohen Gadol would read in the Torah, and he would make brachos. So that Zok the Gemara said, what happened was, Chazan HaKnesses, Chazan means like the Shamus or the Gabbai. The Gabbai noitel Sefer Torah, v'noisna l'roish HaKnesses. Like the Shamus gives it, he can say, you want to say it's the Gabbai or the president, the head of the shul. B'roish HaKnesses noisna l'zgan. V'azgan noisna l'kohen gadol. L'kohen gadol oimed, he gets up when they're bringing him the Torah. He was sitting till now. So he gets up, makabel, and he accepts it. V'kaira achrei mois, he read the parsha achrei mois as a parsha of the avodah of Kohen Gadol, and ba'ach ba'asar, also later in Shur v'chesav v'eiz, that's later on in parsha. One is in parshas achrei mois, one in parshas Emor, and b'goyel es ha-Torah. Then he rolled up the Torah, he held it on his lap, and he would say, in other words, he didn't finish the Torah yet. He read two parshias. The third parsha is, he read, that's in Parshas Pinchas, where it says everything, then it says 10 days in the month is what we lay, the Torah that we lay on Yom Kippur. Now, the people, it's going to look a little bit strange. The Gemara is going to say later, why didn't he be goyel the Torah today? That the Gemara will explain later. But the people may begin to think that something's wrong with the Torah that he's holding, because you see, he put it away, and he is saying. So he says, he gives a Hagdama. Yes, Mimasha, more than what's written here that I read you is still written in the Torah. And then he goes on after this Hagdama to read that from Parshas Pinchas. So Shabachama Shapekudim, Bamidbar is called because over there is the counting of the Yidden. So that Kaira Alpeh, that he reads by heart. Umavarach, and he makes a bracha. Like you make a bracha when you finish reading the Torah, or someone has an aliyah. So the same thing, he makes a bracha that you make after you finish reading. Mevarach aleh shmoina brachas. He makes, after that it goes 8 brachas. First one is birchas ha-Torah. The brachas that you make by aliyah l'Torah. Ba'al ha'avodah. Avodah is the bracha of Ritzei. Ba'al ha'idor, that's the bracha of Atar Shimcha Chanol Ha'idus. Ba'al mechilas ha'oven, that's a bracha that we say on Yom Kippur, that the Eibishter should forgive the Aveinus. Ba'al ha'migdash, he makes a bracha for the Beis HaMikdash. Ba'al Yisrael, he makes a bracha for Klal Yisrael. Ba'al ha'kayanim, and for the Kahanim. Ba'al Yushalayim, and for Yushalayim. By Migdash makes a bracha shabacha the Migdash that the Eibush selected the Migdash, and by Yisrael he makes a bracha abaycha b'am Yisrael, and then he goes on Vashar Tefillah. What Vashar Tefillah means, that we'll see in the Gemara. The Gemara will explain that. Now let's see it starts the Gemara now. The Gemara in the Mishnah said that the shamus takes it and he gives it to the gabbai, let's say, and the gabbai gives it to the zgan. Now, so the shamus b'nei, you see from here an interesting thing, that chol can cover the Talmud b'makom harav. Why are you giving all these people honor? She goes straight to the Kohen Gadol. These people are sort of not insignificant. Got to be the Kohen Gadol. So why do you go through this? So the Gemara, Amar Abai said, Kula mishum kveidish the Kohen Gadol. This all shows the cover of the Kohen Gadol. Like you can't just give right away to Kohen Gadol. You have to go through
You have
different
to-
departments, like till you finally reach the Kohen Gadol. Then it says, the Kohen Gadol Oimid Umekabel, he gets up and he receives the Torah. So the Gemara Oimid, if you say he gets up, so what was he doing till now? Mikral the Yoshev, who, so it seems like he was sitting. V'ha'ama Mar, we once learned, en yeshiva bazara. You're not allowed to sit in the azara. Elul malcha beis davar bavad. Only malcha beis davar, because malcha beis davar was a true melucha, an everlasting melucha. Shenema vayavei hamel David vayeshev ufnei Hashem vayema miyo noichi v'gayim. And for the Gemara, that over here, that to answer this kasha, we answered Kid Amar of Chissa. Rav Chissa said in another place that this took place, a certain thing took place by Ezra Snoshim. So Hachinami here also, this was by Ezra Snoshim, and B'mela you're not allowed to sit in the Azara, but the Ezra Snoshim was not Mekudesh, and you can sit over there. Meisvei, Esther Kasha, V'hechen Kaidem by Bazara. Rabbi Lezman Yaakov Omer Bahar Abayis Shenema V'yikra Bay Lefnei Harachoyv Asher Lefnei Shar HaMayim. But Omer Rav Chissa says, so Chayre, you see that it was other places where they read it, and Omer Rav Chissa Be'ezra Snoshim, just like he said over there, Be'ezra Snoshim, same thing over here, that's the teretz. Then it says, he reads Parshas Achor Mois and Parshas Sher V'Chesed from Emor. With Aminu, so Gemara asks the question, we know that there's a rule that Medalgim B'Novi, the Ein Medalgim B'Toyrim, that in the Torah you can't skip from around in the Torah. In the Navi, you can skip around from one place to another, but not in the Torah. So how does he do that? Amar Abai Lekasha, Kam B'Rdei Sheyifsek HaTurgaman, Kam B'Rdei Shelo Yifsek HaTurgaman. We learned already before, yesterday we spoke about that there was a Turgaman that said over what was said. So the Sefer says, if there's enough time for the Turgaman to do his job and finish, and the Galilo takes more than that, you're not allowed to do it, because then the people will sit and doing nothing. But if there's no time in between the Meturgaman and the Galilzain, then you could do it. Doesn't think more. Kam B'Rdei Shalai Yifsek HaTurgaman, and one Kam B'Rdei Sheyifsek HaTurgaman, and Kam B'Rdei Shalai Yifsek HaTurgaman. Will the Turgaman have to stop and wait or not? In fact, the Gemara, no, that's not correct. Well, Ketani Shtetel Dalton Medalgim B'Navi V'Ein Medalgim B'Toyra V'Ad Kam Medalgim Ad Sheyifsek HaTurgaman. In the place where you're allowed to be jump around, you have. It depends if there shouldn't remain a gap. Where's that? So so from here is mashman the b'tayra kral that in the Torah you can't at all jump around. Elam abai l'kasha kan b'inyan echad kan b'shnei inyanim. That means you can't jump around from one inyan to another inyan. But if you're jumping from one to another and it's both the same inyan, so that's what the Shiur Kesef is over there, and Achri Mois is the same inyan. And V'Tanya, over here, usually V'Tanya is a kasha. V'Tanya, Rashi b'nichusa, and proof. V'Tanya, and we taka learned, Medalgam v'Tayra b'inyan echad, u'b'navi b'shnei inyanim. And v'kam v'kan, in both places, when you're allowed to be jumping around, is b'rdei shalei yifsek haTurgaman, that he shouldn't remain quiet and stopped and wait. Then it says also, "Ve'ein medalgim minovi l'novi." In other words, you can't go from Yemiyo to Shayo. You could jump around in the same novi, but not from one. However, ubenovi shel shnei masa, there's what's called trei asa, 12 small Nevi'im, being that over there small Nevi'im, so over there you could go from one to the other. Ubevad, Shalei Yedalei, Misayfa Sefer Litchatzulasen. You can't go backwards. You know, in Trayosa, you can go from one to the other, but you can't go backwards. Then it says, Begoyu Esatayra. We write this in the Mishnah. Umenicha b'cheikai. In fact, the Gemara b'kolkach l'hama. Why does he have to do this? And he says that Yesim Masha Karasi. Why does he have to do it? So the Gemara because people may begin to rumor that there's something wrong with the Torah. Whisper. Okay. Then it says Ube'eser Shebechumash Abikudim. That's in Parshas Pinchas. Kair al Pei Rizal Praktik Gemara B'Lekachei L'Sefer V'Likre. Why don't they do Gelila from Chumash Vayikra into Chumash Vamidah to Parshas Pinchas? Amar Avuna by Yehuda. Amar Sheshes L'Fi She'en Goyel Sefer Torah B'Tziba. Over there, by Emor and Achrei Mois, they're right next to each other. There's one parsha in between. But when you have to make a long gelila, that we don't do b'tziba. It's just misad the cover that tziba. In fact, the Gemara v'leisa sefer Torah chinu. Why don't they take out two sefer Torahs? Like we do on Yom, we take out two sefer. Why don't they take out two sefer Torahs? So the Gemara, Rav Huna bereb Yehuda Amar mishum pagama sharishin. If you'll take out two sefer Torahs, so people think, there was a problem with the first sefer Torah, something's wrong with it, because they wouldn't know all the details, and they see you taking out another sefer Torah. So, in order that it shouldn't be moitzuraz on the sefer Torah, we don't do. Reb Shimon Belakish Omer, B'nei she'ein mevakim bracha she'ein tzricha, because it's not necessary. So, if you take out another Torah, you have to make a bracha again. So, therefore, to avoid making a bracha again, we don't take another Torah. The Gemara, do we really care about that people may think that something was wrong with the Sefer Torah? Rav Yitzchak said, Rosh Chodesh Shevish Chalias b'Shabbos. If Chanukah, Rosh Chodesh Shevish is Chanukah. So if it came out on Shabbos, so maybe Sholosh Titus, you take out three Titus. The Kaida Achas Me'yonei Shayim, which is the Parsha HaShavua, the Achas Sheresh Chodesh, so you see that we're not choishes for Gomashal Sefer. People may have a misconception, and for the Gemara over there, when we take out three Torahs, we call up three different people. So the Gemara Trosa Gavri B'Trosa Sifri like a Pagama. People wouldn't think that something was wrong because they see they're calling another person. If there was a Pagam, then they would reread again in the next Sefer Torah, or the same person again. Abachad Gaber v'trei Sifrei Torah Sifrei Ika Pagama. If it's two different people, then people think that there was a Pagam. Umevarach le'shmeina brachos. Something more. Tana Rabbanon Mevachim ala Torah. We make a bracha on the Torah. Kederach shemevachim v'beis haknesses. Like we do in Shul when we read the Torah. V'ala avayda v'ala idah. These brachas, we know what they are. This Ritzei and Atay Shemchon HaLahaydes and Mechilus Oven is the Kippur bracha. We know we say it in the Shmon Esrei. Al HaMikdash b'fnei atzmai be'al HaKainim b'fnei atzmam al Yisrael b'fnei atzmam b'al Yishalayim b'fnei atzmam. And then V'ashar Tefillah. What does it mean V'ashar Tefillah? Tana Rabbanan. Hashar Tefillah Techina Rino Ubakosha. It's a Tefillah and a gebet and a song and a request. She'amcha Yisrael Tzrichon Li'vasha V'chaysim B'Shemei Tefillah. He makes a Tefillah that the Yidden davon geholfen werden, and he ends Shemei Tefillah. Mikam V'Eilach. After he finished all this, Kol Echad Mevi Sefer Torah Mitach Beisach. In the olden days, everybody had a Sefer Torah because there wasn't any printed Sfarim. So everyone had a Sefer Torah. You learned from the Sefer Torah that you had. So everyone comes and brings Sefer Torah. Ayat's in Kippur. So it's said that this goes according to Mandiyoma that in Kippur you're allowed to carry. There's a shayla if your Kippur, if there's a din Eitiv and it's all by in Kippur or not. So this is according to the opinion that says you're allowed to send everyone home in a carry, or in Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim had doors, closed doors around it, but there was a wall around it, so it's also no problem with carrying. So everyone went and brought his Sefer Torah. To show the beauty, each one showed the beauty of his Sefer Torah to the Rabbim. That's an Indian for Zek Kelu Maveil. Zek Kelu Maveil state is to have the nice Sefer Torah. So each one brought his nice Sefer Torah to show the beauty of Hashem. Okay, now we'll go to the next mission. So till now we were learning about the Parsha of the Kohen Gadol. Now there's also an Indian by Hakel. By Hakel, which was once at the end of Shemitah, on Sukkot, then they made Hakel. And over there, everyone came together, Hakel, Sanosh, Nashim, V'Tav, everyone got together, and the Melech would read the Torah. So now he's saying, so how did that work? He says as follows. Parshas HaMelech, Ketzad, how did that work? Motzah Yontif Horishin. Shochag, that means the first day of Chol Moed, the first night of Chol Moed of Sukkot, B'Shmini, in the 8th year, B'Motzah Shviyas, after Shviyas. Why we give all these points over here? The Gemara will explain. It seems like it's repetition.
Means at night?
Huh? They built a gallery in the Azara. In the Azara, you were allowed to do it. As the din is, you're not allowed to build anything into the Beis Hamikdash, according to what was not the part of the building. But in Azara, they were allowed to do it. Behu Yoshev, and the king is sitting, Oleha on this bima, Shenema, steht in Pasuk, Miked Sheva Shonim, B'moyed Chodesh Shvi. Then the same order again. Chazan HaKnesses Noitel Sefer Torah. The Shabbos takes the Sefer Torah. V'noisnei gives it l'Rosh HaKnesset. I said right, to the Gabbai or to the president, whoever it is. V'Rosh HaKnesses noisnei l'Zgan. V'Zgan noisnei l'Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol noisnei Gan noisnei l'Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol noisnei l'Melech. Over here the Kohen Gadol gives it to the Melech. He's the highest. And v'Melech Oimed, the king gets up. Umakabel, and he accepts it. The Kairei Yoshev, and then he sits down and he reads the Torah. Then the Mishnah tells us about there was a king by name Agrippus. Agrippus was from the time of Hudus. Hudus was in the time of the Chashmonaim, the time of the Churban of the second Beis Hamikdash. He was the king. Ahmad, he stood up. The Kibel, and he accepted the Torah. The Kara Oimed, and he stood. He read standing. V'shivchu Chachamim, and the Chachamim praised him for doing that. Ukshigia lesucha lasas alecha ish nachri. When he came to that pasuk, zogu ein of the mois, he began to cry because the question that he fit to be a king, and the question is who was his father. They said to him, Al tishyore Agrippus, and Al tishyore Agrippus, Achinu Ato, you're our brother. Achinu Ato, you're our brother. They Gemara say they flattered him, they comforted him. We'll soon see the Gemara. The Kaidem we would read, Mitchilas Elad Dvarim at Shema, and then he'd read that's the beginning till Shema is in Vaschanan, and then Ushma and V'hoyim Shemayah, that's an Ekev. Then Asa to Asa, what we read on a Yontiv, and then Kisachal Asa, Upashas HaMelech, where it says about Sem Tassim Lech HaMelech that if you want to have a king, Ubrachas Uklolis, that are at the end in Parshas Kisavai, Acha Gaime Kala Pasha, and Bir Acha Gaime Kala Pasha, Shekayan Gadol Varach Isam, Hamelach Muvarach, all the, no, I'm sorry, Acha Gaime Kala Pasha, Bracha Shekayan Gadol Muvarach Isam, the bracha that we went before, the 8 brachas that the Kayan Gadol made, so Hamelach Muvarach Isam, Ella Shenaisen Shel the Golem Takas Mechilus Oven. One of the brachas that the Kayan Gadol read was in Kippur. He spoke about Mechilus Oven. In Sukkot, you don't talk about Mechilus Oven. So he answered the bracha Mekadosh Yisrael Razmanim. So the Gemara, Bishmini Sakadaitach. What do you mean? What do you mean Bishmini? Zak the Gemara, Ema Bishminis. That it means Bishminis means in the year in the 8th year. Why does he have to give you all these simonim? Mitzvah Yontif and Bishminis, and after Shemitah, why does he have to give you all these simonim? So it's not sicher. The Ikas Rachmana Mikates Sheva Shanim Hava Mina Nimna Mehashta. I would think that now when this was said, you start counting the 7 years, the Shemitah. But the Indian is, Shemitah was first counted after 14 years that the Yidden came into Eretz Yisrael. So it's not from now, but after there was the Kibush and the Chalukah of Eretz Yisrael. I would think, Nimne Mahasha, V'apagav the Remisrami b'Shmitah. Even it doesn't come out in a Shemitah, counted from the Rebbe Kosrach Mana Shemitah, that it has to be connected with a Shemitah. Vi Kosrach Mana Shemitah, if the Torah would just say Shemitah, I would think B'Saif Shemitah, at the end of the Shemitah. In other words, before Rosh Hashanah. That's what I would think. The Rebbe Kosrach Mana B'Mayed on a Yontif, and Vi Kosrach B'Mayed on a Yontif. Havamina Merei Shata. Resh Chodesh is also called the Yontif. It's in the same parsha of Eilu Moed Hashem. There because Rachmana b'Chag Sukkos, and because Rachmana b'Chag Sukkos, Havamina Afilu Yontif Achron Bashmini Atzeres. Because Rachmana b'Vay Kol Yisrael. When do they come? May Schalta the Moed from the beginning of Yontif. So it's it's on Yontif. Right, Mitzvah Yontif in the 8th year, not right after Shemitah, but in the 8th year already. So seven complete, and Rosh Hashanah passed, and Yom Kippur passed, and B'Moed it means Sukkot.
Why isn't it?
What?
It's the beginning of
It's beginning of the 8th year. That's what it says B'Shminas.
But not Rosh Hashanah beginning.
Why isn't this whole sugi Masechtas brachas?
I need a job, no?
Ah.
Okay, Shvacha Kasha. Now it's straight over here. V'chazan HaKnesses, Neitel Sefer Torah, V'neisel V'reish HaKnesses. So again, we have the same question as before. Shamit, you see from here, Chok covered V'talmud B'mak Marav. Hamabaya Kulim Mishum Kvayde HaMelech. It's all give more cover to the Melech. Then it says Melech Oymed Umakabel V'Koyde Yeshiv Agriv HaMelech Omad V'Kiba V'Koyde Oymed. So the Gemara Mikal the Yeshiv, it says Mashma, if he stood up then he was sitting, right? So V'Omad, the same kasha before, En Yeshiva Bazara El Lamakal B'David V'Vad Shnev V'Yaveh Amel David V'Yoshev V'nei Hashem V'Yemer. And for the Gemara Kidei Omer of Chista, like he said, that's Be'ezus Noshim. So Hakinami Be'ezus Noshim, and Be'ezus Noshim you're allowed to sit. Then the Gemara said V'Shipchu Chacham. So the Gemara Shipchu, you're saying that they praised him? Mikal, so that seems to say that the Shaper over that he did good. In fact, the Gemara V'Omer Rav Ashi Afilu Mandama Nasi Shemach Akvayde Kvayde Mochel, that a Nasi could be on his covered of a Melech Shemach Akvayde and Kvayde Mochel. A king can't be Michael. Shenem Shten Pasuk. Soim Tosam Lechem Melech. Shetahei a Moshe Lechem. So I say, so how was he allowed to? How was he allowed to do it? He's Michael al Kvaydei. Zat the Gemara, mitzvah shani. A mitzvah, he's doing it for the sake of Hashem. So for the sake of Hashem, he's allowed to be Michael on his Kvaydei and stand up. When he reached when they came to that, so the Gemara, Tani Mishmei did up Nasan, but also sure at that time when the Yidden praised him, Nischayvu Saini Yisor Kaloya. Saini Yisor means the opposite. Rosh Hashanah Noah, like you say. This She'echnifu Leila Agrifos, because they flattered Agrifos. Omer Shimon ben Khalifa, Miyam Shegova Agrufa Shachanufa, from once flattery became accepted, is Nisavu Hadinim, with his kalkul Amaisim, Ve'ein Odom Yochel Leim Lechavere, Maisi Gedolim Mimasecha. In other words, the Dayanim were flattered, and it was like a sheikh, like a bribery. So the dinim were that came out were crooked dinim, and one wasn't able to say musa to the other one because everyone was flattered that is very good, So how can you say musa to them? Doresh Rabbi Yehuda Bar Marava, V'Taim Rav Shimon ben Pazi, Mutter L'Hachmif L'Rishoyim B'Yom Hazeh. You're allowed to flatter Rishoyim in B'Yom Hazeh. Shenema L'Yikora Oid L'Novel Nodif, that when Mashiach will come, so a novel means a low-life person will not be called a generous person. L'Kili, and to a stingy person, L'Yoma Shua, they wouldn't say, oh, he's very generous. The truth that time will be a time of truth, but Bisman Hazeh, you'll have it. So the Gemara Mikal, from here you can see the Ba'ilum Hazeh is Ba'ilum Hazeh shari. Ba'ilum Hazeh it's permissible. So the Gemara brings an interesting story now. From here I have a raya that Ba'ilum Hazeh you're allowed to be mechanef a rasha. What's the raya? Yankov said to Esav that when I see your face is kirois pnei kimvet etzaini. It's like I see the Eibishter, and the Eibishter like looks good, looks favorable to me. So you see from here that Yankov flattered Esav. So the Gemara pligi the Rab Levi, but this is really this shot that he's saying disagrees with the Rab Levi. What did Rab Levi say? The Omer Rab Levi, Moshel Sheyankav Esav U'Ma'adav V'Daimen. How can we understand or compare the story that happened between Yaakov and Esav? He says, "L'Adam Shazim es Chaveda." A person invited his friend. V'Hika boy Shemavakish Hoga. He made a mistake. He didn't realize, but he recognized now that his friend is going to kill him. So he said to him, Toyim Tavshili Zeh Shani Toyim. I'm sorry, Tam Tavshili Zeh Shani Toyim Ketavshil Sheta'amti V'Beis HaMelech. He says to him, you know what, to the one that wants to kill him, that he invited him, he says, I want you to taste this pot of soup. This pot of soup, it tastes just like a pot of soup that I ate by the king. So Omar, the person said to himself, in other words, Yoda Rei Malcolm. Oh, he gets invited to the king. He must be a very important person. The Mele Mustafi, so he got frightened. And he didn't kill him. So the Mele said, Yaakov wanted to protect himself from Esau. So what's he say to him? He said, "Oi, when I look at you, it's like when I'm dealing with the Eibishter." Esau he's dealing with the Eibishter. He has a direct contact and everything. So he didn't start up with him. Okay. Okay, we'll stop over here. Okay.
You have another 2 lines.
Another 2 lines? Okay. All right. Omar Rabbi Lazar. Kol Adam Sheyesh Bechanufa Maybe Afla Olam. Brings the Eibishter Shenama V'chanfei Leiv Yosimu Af. They will bring anger. V'lo El Shein Tfilos V'nishmas Shenama Lo Yishavu Ki As Sadem. What's the Lashon of it? Hey. The pasuk start over there. Stating the pasuk, "V'chan chayleiv yasimu af lo yishavu ki asarim." So you see that they bring trouble to the world. Okay.